7:42 p.m. Her suitcase clicked shut in the hallway. Not slammed. Clicked. Like it had done this 100 times before. I didn't ask where she was going. I didn't have to. She left her half-empty wine glass on the bathroom sink. Lipstick smudge bleeding across the rim like a confession no one wanted to clean. The air still smelled like her perfume. That sharp, powdered vanilla she only wore when someone else was going to see her undress. Then came the text. Not a whisper. Not a look. Just that. A message. Going on a trip with my boss. Don't wait up. That was all. I didn't blink. I just tilted my head toward the hallway. Her car keys jingled once, then the door shut behind her. I waited until her engine pulled out of the driveway. Then I opened the drawer beneath the microwave, the one she thought I never noticed. Inside were 2 phones. One was hers. The other wasn't. The second phone buzzed the moment I picked it up. No lock screen, no passcode. It had never needed one. She was that arrogant. Andrew, boss. Room 241. Wine's chilling. You remember the code word, right? Maribel. Client emergency. Classic. My thumb hovered over the screen, not from hesitation, from focus, from clarity. Then I turned and looked at the man sitting on the couch. Yes, there was a man on the couch. Wait. You weren't expecting him, were you? Neither was she. He was in his 60s, suit too sharp for this neighborhood, shoes too quiet for someone that size. He sipped tea like a surgeon handling a blade. I assume, he said without looking up, this is the part where you ask me what to do. I didn't. I already knew. Because the thing about betrayal is, once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can't reason with it. You can't cry your way around it. You either drown or you dig. And I had already started digging, weeks ago, before she even knew I suspected. The man on the couch? He was the shovel, the first nail. In the spare bedroom closet, behind an old suitcase, was a fireproof box. I had installed it 6 months ago when I noticed the first receipt that didn't belong. $428 at a boutique in Santa Fe. She had never been to Santa Fe, but her boss had. Inside the box were folders, hotel bills, restaurant photos with cropped-out men audio, from a bug I planted in her car's dash GPS logs, from a Bluetooth tracker I slipped into her gym bag. This wasn't paranoia. This was preparation. And tonight was execution. I tossed the burner phone onto the table. She'll be in the hotel by 9, I said. The man nodded. Room 241. Cameras? Everywhere. Elevator, lobby, parking structure. He smiled. She really did pick the wrong man. The hotel was tucked behind a gas station and a drive-through sushi place, the kind of building that tried to hide in plain sight. Not luxury, not a dump either, just enough class to justify secrets. I parked 2 blocks down and walked, not rushed, steady. I had time. She was already inside. Her car was in the back lot. I knew because the man from the couch had someone tail her from our driveway to here. Real-time updates, clean and quiet. I wore a blue hoodie and carried a clipboard. Looked like maintenance. No one questions maintenance. Room 241. 2nd floor. North wing. But I didn't go straight to the room. That would have been sloppy. Predictable. Instead, I headed to the front desk. Smiled at the kid barely old enough to vote. Told him there was a pipe leak flagged in the system. Room 243. Needed access to the panel wall between rooms. He gave me the master key card without blinking. No ID check. No call. Just handed over access to someone with the right voice and enough fake urgency. People are easier to hack than computers. I walked down the hall. Every footstep echoed, low and soft, like the building was holding its breath. I stopped outside room 243. I listened. 241 was alive. Laughter, clinking glasses, a muffled, "Are you seriously drinking that already?" followed by his voice, deeper than I expected. She giggled. I felt my jaw tighten, not from jealousy, from disgust. The way someone feels when they see a friend eat off the floor. That kind of "you're better than this" disgust, except she wasn't. Not anymore. I slid into room 243 and closed the door behind me. No one was checked in. My guy had made sure of it. The room was clean, empty, quiet. I walked to the shared wall. I put my phone against the drywall and tapped record. The next part was cruel, but necessary. I pulled out the second device, a signal duplicator. It looked like a portable charger, but it could copy the signal of a room key if placed near the real one for a second or two. My guy had bumped into Andrew in the lobby. Literally. 1 second was enough. I had his key card, and in under 5 minutes, I'd have all the audio I needed. Not because I wanted revenge, because I wanted proof. And proof is power. I didn't mean to notice it at first. It just happened. While the phone was recording against the wall, I sat on the edge of the unused bed in room 243, staring at the small digital clock on the nightstand. I wasn't even thinking about her voice anymore. Not the laughter, not the faint zipper sound I wished I hadn't heard. I was staring at the time because something felt off. At 8:26 p.m., exactly 44 minutes after she walked into that hotel, she said something strange, muffled but clear enough. "Wait, where's my ring?" Silence followed. A long pause. Then his voice. "You didn't wear it?" She answered too quickly. "No, I took it off in the car. I thought I put it in my purse." My spine straightened. She never took it off. Not even in the shower. She claimed she was superstitious about it. Said removing it would jinx everything. That stupid ring cost me nearly 2 months of rent back then. I still remembered the exact store, the box, the lighting inside the display case. I remembered her crying when I proposed under those awful flickering lights outside her old apartment. So yeah, I noticed. And I noticed she wasn't wearing it earlier that morning either. I didn't bring it up. I was already knee-deep in surveillance by then. But hearing her realize it was gone, that hit different. She kept talking, louder now, like panic was inching up her throat. "I swear it was in my purse. I checked it twice. It's not in the glove box. Andrew, it's gone." He didn't sound concerned. "Relax. It's just a ring." That's when she got quiet. I knew that quiet. It wasn't about the ring. It was about what it meant. While they scrambled on the other side of the wall, I reached into my backpack and pulled it out. The ring. Hers. Simple gold, worn smooth on the inside, still warm from where I'd been holding it for the last hour. I found it on the bathroom counter back home. She left it behind without thinking. Maybe she thought I wouldn't notice, but I did, and I took it. Not to punish her, to remind her, to leave a ghost behind. I returned the keycard to the front desk drop box. No words, no eye contact. Just a quiet exit through the side door of the hotel. Back in my car, I turned off the phone recording. 17 minutes of audio. Most of it forgettable. But the tone shift after the missing ring? That was gold. I didn't go home. I had one more stop to make. She'd left her jewelry box wide open that morning. I knew exactly what it looked like when something valuable went missing. I planned to replace the ring. Not in its place, but somewhere obvious. Somewhere she'd know I had it. That I'd been there. That I saw everything. That I was watching. She got home at 2:19 a.m. I know, because I watched her headlights sweep across the living room walls. I was parked a block away, engine off, window cracked. She didn't even glance at the house before unlocking the front door. No hesitation, no guilt. Like it was any other night. But it wasn't. She went straight to the bedroom, dragging that stupid designer suitcase behind her. She didn't even turn on the lights. I watched her silhouette through the curtains, slow, tired, unaware. And then she froze. Right at the edge of the bed, she saw it. Her wedding ring. Resting perfectly in the center of her pillow. Not in the box, not in the bathroom, not in her purse. On the pillow. Beside it, just a folded piece of paper. Nothing fancy. Ripped from the yellow notepad I always kept in the kitchen drawer. She knew that paper. She knew my handwriting, and she knew I didn't leave notes unless it mattered. The note said only this: "You lied better when you still loved me." No threats. No accusations. Just that. She sat down slowly, like her legs were deciding whether to collapse or flee. Then she read it again. And again. And again. She stayed frozen there for over 10 minutes. I watched the whole thing, from my car, smiling. By morning, she had already deleted everything. The texts, the emails, call history, all gone. She even cleared her browsing data, like that would help. Like she was scrubbing away guilt with technology. I could picture her doing it, sitting cross-legged on our bed, wearing that gray hoodie she stole from me years ago, phone screen dimmed low, erasing the record of her own collapse. But the funny thing about deletion, it's not real, not unless you know how to do it right. And Maribel didn't. By 10 a.m., I had remote access to her backup. She forgot that her iPad auto-synced with her iCloud. She thought turning off the Wi-Fi meant it was safe. She thought I'd never look. She was wrong. I downloaded everything. Messages between her and Andrew going back 5 months. It didn't start with a kiss. It started with an emoji. Just one. A flame, after a late meeting. From there, it grew. Slowly, cowardly, through flirty jokes, compliments about her laugh, little digs at me dressed up as banter. I read every one. "Your husband's lucky, or maybe just lazy. I'd never let someone like you walk out the door looking that good without a fight. You deserve more than loyalty. You deserve worship." She laughed at that one. Not just a lull. A full, "God, you're dangerous. Don't make me blush." Each message was a needle, but I didn't flinch. I cataloged them all. Labeled them, grouped them by date, theme, and tone. I wasn't looking for heartbreak. I was building a timeline. Evidence. A story she couldn't wiggle out of. And then I found the message that made everything shift. It was a draft. Unsent. Hidden in her notes app. I'm scared he knows. He's been quiet lately. He looks at me like I'm already gone. She wrote that 2 days before the hotel, so she did feel it. The tension. The cold distance. The way I had stopped asking about her day, stopped reaching for her hand during movies, stopped laughing when she made those fake sarcastic comments about my boring job. She knew. She felt it growing, and instead of facing it, she doubled down on the lie. I stared at that unsent note for a long time. Not because it changed anything, but because it confirmed something. Guilt wasn't what made her stop. Fear did, and that gave me leverage. I printed 3 screenshots, one of the hotel message, one of the dangerous compliment, and one of her draft, the confession she never sent. I folded them together and placed them in an envelope. No return address, just her name written in black marker. At lunch, I dropped it off at her office, walked in like a delivery guy, asked for the receptionist, said it was urgent. I knew she'd open it at her desk. I knew she'd have to fake a cough or pretend it was junk mail just to keep her hands from shaking. She wanted to bury everything, and now it was resurfacing, piece by piece, in front of her carefully curated world. I didn't want revenge. I wanted erosion. Slow, controlled. I wanted her to feel the floor vanish one tile at a time. It took him 3 days. 3 full days of silence from her. No messages, no calls, no heart emojis, before Andrew finally cracked and reached out. I knew he would. Men like him can't handle confusion. They mistake silence for control slipping through their fingers. His text came in just after 11 p.m. I watched it appear on the backup feed. She hadn't blocked him, just muted the thread, like that made it less real. Andrew, what's going on? You ghosting me now? Thought we were past the games. She didn't answer, not right away. For 27 minutes, nothing. Then I watched her type, erase, type again, pause. Maribel. He knows. That was it. Simple. Terrified. True. There were no follow-up messages from her. She didn't explain how I knew. She didn't tell him about the ring or the note or the envelope. She didn't need to. Because right after she sent that, He replied with, "You didn't tell him about the firm, right?" The firm. Now that was interesting. I read that sentence 10 times, each time slower than the last. Not because I didn't understand it, but because I did. There was more. This wasn't just about a fling. There was something buried deeper. And now I knew what to look for. This changed the game. I leaned back in my chair, stared at the screen, and smiled to myself. Andrew had just made his first mistake, and I wasn't going to let him walk away from it. I hadn't stepped into the basement in months. It was mostly storage, leftover furniture, boxes from when we first moved in, unopened wedding gifts, and forgotten Christmas decorations. Maribel hated it down there, said it smelled like metal and dust. That was fine by me. I never liked cleaning up other people's secrets in shared spaces. But after Andrew's text, "You didn't tell him about the firm, right?" I knew where to look. Years ago, she used to bring home pitch decks and mock-up boards from work. She said it helped her brainstorm when she wasn't under the fluorescent pressure of her office. At some point, when clutter took over, she shoved everything downstairs in a thick plastic crate labeled Archive. I found it in the far corner, behind a broken lamp and a rusted bike chain. Inside were folders. Dozens. Most were filled with corporate buzzwords, branding concepts, fake architectural renders of buildings that probably never got past the planning phase. But one folder, a plain black one with no label, was sealed with a plastic clip. When I opened it, I wasn't prepared for what I saw. First, a glossy printout of a luxury beachfront property in Belize. Not a render. A real photo. Stamped with a red approved watermark in the top right corner. Beneath that, a title in bold font. Sea Haven Private Resort, Brand Expansion Proposal. I kept flipping. There were investor summaries, internal memos, budget drafts, and then a familiar signature at the bottom of a document titled Silent Partnership Agreement. Maribel's. It wasn't just a fling. She and Andrew were funneling money into a private resort chain. On paper, it looked clean. Smart even. But one detail ruined that illusion. The funds weren't coming from her savings. They were coming from the firm, not legally, not transparently, hidden through subcontractor shells and bogus consulting fees. Embezzlement. And she signed her name to it. This wasn't just betrayal anymore. This was fraud. Organized, intentional, with a paper trail, one I was now holding in my hands. I sat on the floor for a while, letting the cold from the concrete seep into my spine. She had lied to me about love, sure, that I could have survived. But this? She put us both in danger. Because once this unravels, and it will, her name isn't the only one that will get dragged into the mud. We were still legally tied. Joint accounts, co-signed documents, shared taxes. If federal eyes start sweeping, I'm standing right in the blast radius with her. Unless I do something first. I scanned everything, every page, sent it to a secure drive, encrypted. Then I resealed the folder and placed it right back where I found it. Untouched, unbothered, like I had never seen it. Because the worst kind of evidence is the kind no one knows you have, until it's too late to take it back. Maribel thought she'd broken something soft, something emotional, romantic. But what she actually broke was legal, dangerous, and very, very traceable. I told her we needed to talk. It was the first thing I'd said to her in 5 days. She looked surprised when I said it, like she thought the silence was a choice I'd committed to for good. Maybe she believed if she stayed quiet long enough, the cracks would just close on their own. They never do. She sat across from me at the kitchen table, the same table we'd eaten dinner at for years, the same table where she once told me about her dreams to open her own agency, where she cried after her father's funeral, where we opened champagne when I got promoted. Funny how places collect memories like scars. I slid the black folder onto the table. Her breath caught. "Before you say anything," I said, calm as glass, "just know I'm not here to scream. I'm not here to destroy you, but I'm giving you a choice." She opened it. She didn't deny it. She didn't even try. The look in her eyes shifted from panic to shame, and then something I hadn't seen in months: honesty. "I didn't mean for it to go that far," she said quietly. "It started small, just money moving between projects, and then it wasn't small anymore. And then, Andrew." I listened. She explained everything: the resort, the investors, how she signed off on things she didn't fully understand, too afraid to back out once the money started flowing. How Andrew assured her it was clean, just smart accounting. It wasn't. She was trapped. Or at least, that's how it felt to her. I didn't interrupt. Not once. When she finished, I pushed a second envelope across the table. Inside was a termination letter, drafted by a lawyer I'd hired a week ago, officially cutting all joint financial ties between us. A legal firewall. Clean. Safe. Final. "This protects me," I said. "It also protects you. If you sign it today, I don't go to the firm. I don't go to the SEC. I let you fix this on your own terms. Quietly." Her hands trembled as she held the pen. "I don't deserve this," she whispered. "You're right," I replied. "You don't. But maybe that's the point." She signed. No tears, no dramatics, just quiet understanding. We separated peacefully. No dragged-out divorce. No war. She moved out 2 weeks later, went back to her sister's place, started untangling herself from the business and, eventually, from Andrew. I heard later that he tried to pin everything on her when the firm started asking questions. She didn't let him. She handed over the receipts, all of them. Last I checked, Andrew lost his job. The Belize deal collapsed. And Maribel? She moved to Oregon, started working for a nonprofit that helped women get out of financially abusive relationships. Funny how some people find redemption in the ashes. As for me, I kept the house, painted the walls, ripped out that awful kitchen tile she always insisted on keeping, and I started seeing someone new, slowly, carefully, no secrets, just peace. The kind you earn when you choose the high road, even when the low one begs you to take it.